Hello guys, welcome to the 3D market commentary for today, Friday the 13th. It is today, hopefully a lucky day in the markets. It's Friday the 13th of August. So my name is Becky, my email address is here. If I can find it, there we go. Becky@tradictive.com. You've also got support@tradictive.com that you can use to email if you have any questions. Now let's just make sure that we go through the disclaimers because of course those are important from a legal perspective to make sure that we cover. So there we go. Now, disclaimers are essentially saying that these kind of videos are demonstrations, so they don't necessarily indicate the results that you may achieve. So, what we do with the 3D market commentary, we send out an email every day that has information on 5 major world markets. We call it a 3D market commentary because we look at 3 separate elements to figure out where the probabilities lie for those 5 major world markets. And we do videos on it every day to just expand on it. So that's what you're watching right now. So before we do that, let me just quickly take you to tradewithufos.com/Becky. Here you can set yourself up with a free Trade with UFOs membership, and then you can come down here and ask questions in a public area. Now, when we have questions in a public area, it means we can answer them in a public area, which also means other people can see it. So it helps the whole community to learn from each other if all of the questions and answers are coming to this same place. So ideally, that's where you would post questions if you have them. If not, of course, then you can just email me. Okay, so like I said, we send out an email every day, which is this one here. Obviously correlates with market data, so we'll show you what we're seeing on the charts here as well. The 3 elements that we look at are market climate, buy and sell UFOs, and volatility. Now, market climate essentially means where is the market going to? Where do we have probabilities? Up, down, or nowhere? We use an app to help us. It's the AutoClimate app. This is a free app on most platforms you can get it on. And it tells us with the coloured dots that we see where we have probability. So if we ignore the lines and just focus on the dots, we have a thick blue dot. That tells us probability is to the upside, meaning we should probably look to buy. If we had a thick red dot, that tells us probability to the downside, we should look to sell. If it's a thin dot of either colour, that tells us not enough probability either way, and therefore we do nothing. And so that question is answered by a piece of technology that scans market data for us and gives us the idea as to where we have probabilities. Then we want to figure out, if we're going to buy, where do we buy? If we're going to sell, where do we sell? And that's where our UFOs come in. So again, it's a piece of technology that we use to show us where buyers are, in the case of these green UFOs. And again, it tells us the prices on the right-hand side here, where we have those buyers, between which prices. And then also, where are the sellers? Those are the red UFOs. So we want to use both of these, because if we want to buy, the only way price can go up is if there's more buyers than sellers. So if we want to buy where there's lots of other buying going on, because it's much more likely to win. If we're selling, same thing but reverse. We want to sell where there's lots of other sellers because they're much more likely to push price downwards. And so we want to know where they are, which is why we use this app to help us out with that. Then we want to know volatility. How quickly can we expect these markets to move? So if I scroll down here, we'll start with the S&P and we'll take a look at each market and have a look at what's going on. Now, each of these markets, we're going to look at daily charts. So of course, different things happen on different time frames, but for these sessions that we go through, we're looking at a daily chart. So for the S&P, essentially we are looking at a representation here of US stocks. That's what we're looking at. We have a confirmed upwards climate, a thick blue dot there, probability upwards. Now the market would usually go up for 8.82 candles, so call it 9. We're actually currently on number 8. I think I may have loaded yesterday's email instead of today. So in which case, what we'll do is we'll focus on what the charts tell us, and we'll just kind of make that a little bit bigger. You know, we'll focus more on this. So what we have on the charts, and if you've got today's one, apologies for that, I loaded yesterday's. If you've got today's one, then it will tell you thick blue dot, same thing, but we're currently on candle number 8 to the upside, meaning we're coming to the end of what would be a usual move to the upside. We do have buy orders just here at 4,443.25 to 4,412.25. That's where we have buy orders. Now we had buy orders just below here that have already worked a few times to push price up. That's what we expect buy orders to do, is push the price up. So that's what we would expect these ones to do as well. So overall, we have probability to the upside with the S&P, with US stocks, both with the climate and with UFOs that we have as in buy orders beneath us pushing price upwards. Now in terms of volatility, we can look at the stats for yesterday because they won't have changed very much. In terms of volatility, we would expect in 1 year that the S&P would move up or down 16.14%, which tells us 45.16 points up or down in a day, 99.4 points up or down in a week, and in a month 206.93 points up or down within that month. So that's what we expect there with the S&P. So let's move on now to the next market, which is oil. Now in the meantime, it says here about different courses you can take. We do courses in stocks, futures, forex, backtesting, trade plan, psychology. So by all means, check out our courses. A lot of them come with 3-month complimentary access to the apps. Now, as I said, AutoClimate is a free app on most platforms you can get it on. AutoUFOs is a paid for subscription. You can subscribe straight to them. You don't need to do a course, so you can just get the AutoUFOs. But a lot of times it actually is cheaper to do a course and get 3 months free access to the AutoUFOs than it would be to just subscribe to the UFOs themselves. So maybe check out the courses and see what works out for you a little bit better there. So with oil, we have, in this case, we have a thick red dot now. That is telling us probability downwards. We have probability to the downside. Not surprising, because we had sell orders here that have started to push price down. That's between 71.96 to 69.19. So probability there to the downside. The other cool thing is that usually this market would go down for 6.6 candles. So let's round that up, 7 candles, and we're on candle number 1. Meaning that we have probability for a continuous move down based on what usually happens. So overall probability down there with oil. We have buy orders down here, 60.77 to 58.73, but again, quite a way away. So overall probability down there with oil. In terms of volatility, we'd expect in 1 year movement up or down of 38.32%, which means in a day, up or down of 1.67 points. In a week, 3.68 points up or down. And in a month, 7.67 points up or down. So that is oil. Moving on to gold, which is the next market. And here it says about coaching and support. We do a lot of coaching and support for free online. So of course, please use those resources if you need them. We also have a closed coaching community, which is a small monthly fee, which gives you access to more of our time in closed environments. Okay, so with gold, we have thick red dot, probability to the downside. Now, normally this market would go down for 7 candles, I've rounded that up, and we're on candle number 6. So we are getting to the end of what would be a normal move to the downside. Now, what we need to take into account as well is that we have these buy orders here between 1739.4 to 1718.5. So we have sellers coming in from the climate, but we have buyers coming in at that stack of orders. So we've got buyers and sellers fighting each other. To me, when you have two sides fighting each other really close together, it's more of a guess as to who's going to win and less of a statistical advantage. So I choose to keep away from that, let whoever's going to win, and then join that party when I've got a clearer probability to be able to take the profit margin. So for me, bit of a conflict here. If you had to call it, it would still be slightly probable to the downside. But of course, like I said, to me, not enough. Now with gold, we would expect in 1 year movement up or down of 15.85%, which in a day is 17.52 points up or down. In a week, 38.56 points up or down. And in a month, 80.27 points up or down. So that is gold. Moving on to the next market, which is the US dollar. The US dollar is responsible for about 80% of transactions worldwide daily. So please be aware of it, whether you trade it or not. With the US dollar, we have a confirmed upwards climate, probability there to the upside. We have, normally this market would go up for 5 candles and we've come to candle number 5. So it may be that we've come to the end of this movement. Of course, sometimes we go past what is normal. Of course, sometimes we fall short of what is normal. That's how we end up with an average in between. But in this case, we sort of lack probabilities. The further we go past what is normal, the less probabilities we have. Now, when it comes to our UFOs, this may also be changing direction because we have sell orders between 93.47 and 93.005. they are already working to push price down a little bit. They already worked here to push price down a little bit. So if we have sell orders that are coming in just as the climate is starting to turn around anyway, again, I would expect that we should see a change of climate pretty soon. So again, to me, not enough probabilities either way in this situation. In terms of volatility, we have in 1 year a movement expected of 5.18% up or down, which means in a day 0.3 points up or down, in a week 0.67 points up or down, and in a month 1.39 points up or down. Okay, so let's move on to the last market, which is backed Bitcoin. There we go. So backed Bitcoin is of course not as old as the other markets, which means we don't have as much data on it. So we do have a thick blue dot probability upwards, and we're on candle number 17 to the upside, but we don't know if that's normal or not, because it's not been around long enough for us to have the data to say this is normal, this is not normal. So we're kind of in the dark there, but what we do know is that we still have probability there to the upside. Now we do have a similar situation as with the two previous markets we've looked at, in the sense of we have sell orders right here, 51,782.5 to 46,807.5. Now we again have sell orders coming in round about now, buy orders pushing price up. So again, we've got this fight going on. I don't want to get involved in that fight. I will let whoever's going to win before I jump on that when I have more probabilities on my side. Trading is all about probabilities. Of course, the more probabilities you have, the more likely you are to win. Now, it's all about probability, meaning just because we have probabilities somewhere doesn't mean we're definitely going to win, just means we're more likely to. So nothing's guaranteed. We still manage our risk. We still might have other variables that we use in order to be more probable. But if there's not enough probabilities in the first place, to me, not even worth looking at. So in this case, same situation here with Bitcoin on this chart. Now, in terms of volatility with Bitcoin, we'd expect movement up or down in 1 year of 115.5%. which is 3,328.87 points up or down in a day. In a week, 7,328.16, and in a month, 15,245.79 points up or down within 1 month. So that's all of our markets. We've looked at probabilities based on the climate, probabilities based on orders that could come in, and volatility in terms of how quickly we expect them to move up or down within those given periods of time. What we'll look at now is our weekly economic calendar, just to see if we have any news coming out that could affect us. We're looking at the FX Street economic calendar, and today being Friday, we have news coming out in about an hour or so on the US dollar that could affect US markets. So if you trade those markets, be aware of that. Now, you can go to that link and filter by different markets, different countries if you want to. We have filtered by high impact news, again, just so that we can see what news reports are scheduled to come out that may create an impact in the market and therefore increase the volatility, which increases risk. So be aware of those if you trade those. Now, if you have any questions on anything, what you can do is self-schedule a clarification call with one of our experts and talk to us about the memberships, the coaching, the courses, the apps. What do you need, if anything? How can we help you? You can, of course, schedule a clarification call there. If you have any technical questions, you can email us. Email me, Becky@tradictive.com, or you can email support@tradictive.com. Or you can come to tradewithufos.com/Becky, get yourself a free Trade with UFOs membership, and then come down here and ask questions in this public area so that other people can see the questions and then see the answers as well, and we can all learn together. As it's Friday, I am doing a stock session later on today, so if you want to join me on that, please do. We'll be looking at live stocks markets and seeing what positions and what trades we might have available to us. Otherwise, I'll be back on Monday morning for another one of these market commentaries. Hope you guys have a great end to your trading week, even though it's Friday the 13th. Let's make it a lucky one. Have a great weekend, and I will see you soon. Take care.